Welcome back to Division I Rejects, episode 117. It is August 7th, getting closer and closer and closer to week one. But today was day one for a lot of Division III, Division II squads, NAIA across the country as they open fall camp. Tonight we'll talk to a Division III coach out in West Virginia. It's Josh Ranc. He is the offensive coordinator over at Bethany College. He's 24 years old, Gavin.
It's Matt Young.
25. I'm 22.
I'm 19. I ain't no offensive coordinator, dog. Not happening. Maybe I'm Madden.
With my, that's good. That's my franchise over there. But with my injuries, technically, if I was going to continue to play football, due to the COVID year and a couple of injury, you get those couple of years, I would have been playing until I was about 25, 26. This guy's an OC at a Division III school at 24.
Unreal.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Any level of football, college football especially, that's impressive. We'll talk to him very soon, learn about what exactly Bison ball is over in West Virginia. The GIF that he replied to on Twitter, I don't know if you saw that, it was freaking hilarious. There's literally a bison with like one of those big kongs on a rope, and he's just tossing it around. It was sick. But a happy 50th anniversary to D2 and D3 sports today. Didn't know that was a thing. I'm here to celebrate it. We're here to celebrate it with this show. This is our gift to all of you. But as far as small college football goes, the NSIC, Northern Sun Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, their preseason rankings are out. Their offensive and defensive preseason players of the year. One of them is a D1R athlete. He's up on the wall and here in the studio. We're going to talk about him and a couple of those squads here pretty soon. Northern Michigan, our squad up here, the Wildcats. We just got a renovated locker room. We're going to take a first look at some new pictures out of that place. It looks incredible.
Oh, yeah,
really pumped about that one. And then on the NFL side of things, we've got an NFL team testing players' urine in the facility. Not sure I was ever going to say that one on this microphone. Ever. Did you already look at it or no?
I gave it a little peek.
You did. Okay, I was gonna make you guess what team, but you know.
Yeah.
Okay, damn it, because that would have been kind of funny. Like just which team you think would be.
Yeah.
Either way, it's gonna be a fun one. And the NFL also introduces, you're calling it the new Antonio Brown rule.
That's what what's his name? One of the reporters. That's what he called it.
Was it who was it? Florio?
It's unofficially.
Oh. Okay, yeah, it was Florio. That's something else, man. We're going to talk about all that and more. Obviously, if you are on YouTube, do not forget the timestamps bottom of the episode. You can fast forward to any part of that conversation. Timestamps are also posted on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, which is where you can find this episode as well. Follow us on Twitter, D1_Rejects, on Instagram at Division I Rejects, and subscribe on the YouTube. We want to do some shows on the road this year. We need to get to 1,000 subs so we can do those live. That'd be a blessing. That would be fantastic. But without further ado, to get into all that conversation, let's go right to the conversation with Coach Ranc. Joining the show tonight, probably one of the youngest offensive coordinators in the country at 24 years old, or years young, depending on how you look at it. The man in charge of the Bison offense at Bethany College in West Virginia. It's Josh Ranc. What's going on, Coach? How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Pumped to get you on here. By the way, you were the quote to the tweet with the Bison ball GIF with that thing thrown around like what looks like a what are those called? You give your dogs the kongs on steroids. Yeah. One of those things. That might be the most perfect GIF response I've seen on the Twitter or the X app in quite some time.
Yeah, so our head coach, Brandon Robinson, he kind of says anytime I tweet Bison ball, I pretty much got to use that thing. It's his favorite thing in the world, just Bison with his ball, man.
I love it, dude. What is, if I were to ask you, what is Bison ball?
So when we talk about Bison ball, it's kind of the four core tenets of our program. You know, it's sacrifice, accountability, effort and toughness go together, and then commitment. So that's something that Coach Rob really does as a head coach. Building the culture of our program, he really hammers that home. And then we kind of put our own little wrinkles off of it offensively and then defensively with our defense coordinator, Robbie Brown. You know, he kind of adds his own twist off it as well. But those are our four core tenets of our program.
Hell yeah. I love that. You said you were mudding footballs all day. What kind of process you go through there, or are those secrets of the trade cannot divulge?
No, I mean, anyone can watch the YouTube video. I actually had a great equipment guy when I was coaching at Baldwin. Wallace showed me his process of it. So he's up at Central Michigan now running their equipment room. So I think we got some pretty good footballs, but definitely got to put it in and do it myself down in the locker room. Some of our guys on campus helping me out. So
Central Michigan saw he was mudding those damn balls. They got to pick them up.
Yeah, exactly.
That is an art form, man. I think that's like equipment managers are they pick and choose which things to be like very passionate about. I feel like each one of them has their own prideful thing, and a lot of them seems to be how they handle footballs is like that is their deal. And if you get in the way of that, you're gonna be on their shit list for a long time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Nate down in the equipment room at BW, man, he'd be out there like it was like a 7-day process, towels everywhere, empty bottles of shaving cream, blaring music, and you just had to stay out of the equipment room for that week.
awesome, dude. And I guess I wanted to open with this is that, a pretty cool thing that Bethany College, a lot of other schools in that area are doing, offering the expedited transfer process for those students from Alderson Broadus. We talked about them on the show last week. Can't imagine not only canceling football, but the entire university is just going under. And now you're at a point where you're so close to the fall semester. All those students, like I said, could not imagine just going through that process, man.
Yeah, the heart really goes out to the kids from AB. That's a tough process to go through. Like you said, especially this close to the school year, let alone season for athletes with camp starting up. We report Wednesday. Those guys were supposed to be reporting a few days ago. So, all their coaches, all the staff at the whole college, heart goes out to them. But our administration here at Bethany did a great job kind of being on the ball and ready to get it going. So, it was really a whole college effort, academics, athletics, the president, everyone involved, making sure that those kids are taken care of so they have a place to go to school and they don't have to miss out on a year of education and then sports for the athletes that wanted to transfer as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they might obviously not have their pick of the litter as far as where they're at in the semester, depending on the sport, especially fall sports, football being one of them. But you guys picking up any players from there, or can't you say?
Yeah, I'll leave, if we're picking up any or not, but we've definitely been talking to guys. I'll definitely say that.
I'll just take that as a yes. We'll just but you didn't say it. I just interpreted it. But let's talk about you a little bit. When you got the role of offensive coordinator, said in the bio, about halfway through the season, you were elevated into that position. What was that transition like, and going to be the guy now that is in charge of the Bison ball?
It's been a really fun process. It's kind of in the middle of the season. You don't expect it, right? I was a first-time special teams coordinator heading into that year, and then getting bumped up to OC so fast. Pumped about it, but it's one of those, man, I got a lot of work to do. But Coach Rob, our head coach, does a great job. Been a great offense coordinator for a while. Kind of my mentor in the coaching world. So he helped me through it. And then Clayton Stanton, our young, offensive line coach, we actually played together at Baldwin Wallace.
Okay.
He's a great guy in the run game, knows what he's doing, gets those guys right every week. So really just allows us to kind of have the freedom to, work together as a staff and kind of help each other grow all together. And, makes being a young OC a little less stressful when you got a good staff around you.
Absolutely. That's a big time. And now you do that, you finish off that season, and now you've got this whole off season under your belt where I'm sure you're able to go back to the drawing board and get a better grasp on what exactly it is you guys want to do conceptually and schematically. Heading into this fall, a lot more secure, a lot more confident, or what's the vibe around the offense?
It's really just the vibe around the whole team. We got hired late. I didn't even get down here till last May.
Okay.
So last year was really just setting the culture into place, learning the roster, and recruiting. Right, we got to add to this roster and add a lot of talent, and then a lot of the talented older guys we have coming back. It's going to be an exciting time. So just really as a program, definitely getting the X's and O's in, guys understanding it, but really having that full season to make sure it turns into the program and the way we want to run it on the schedule we want to run it. So just overall a lot more settled of a vibe, I'd say, around the team this year.
That's big time. Yeah, because then all of a sudden you have to worry less about, the culture and those things, because if you do it right, that's something that is implemented and it sticks around because the players are the ones on the great teams that eventually uphold that. It's not out on the coaches quite as much. But let's talk about your mentor a little bit, Coach Rob over there. You had said, he's been a mentor for you, and even in the DM, like when you're DMing me, and it said like how down to earth this guy is in the locker room, doing laundry, like wears a lot of hats, does whatever needs to be done. Talk about him a little bit.
So, when you talk about Bison ball, like he's a leader that kind of does it the way he asks for it to be done, which I think means a lot, right? You never really know with head coaches when they go all in on the culture thing. Are they really backing it up, or is it more of a recruiting pitch? And Coach Rob backs it up every single day. He's helping us with everything. Our office is getting remodeled. He's hanging whiteboards with us. He's on the drill, holding whiteboards while I'm on the drill. So he's not afraid to get down there and help the GAs out and what they need and help us out and what we need. So makes it easy to work for a guy like that because, he's going right there, through it with you.
Oh, yeah. How many guys you guys have on staff over there?
In the office every day, 8.
Okay.
So couple GAs, couple interns. Steve Daly's been coaching at Wheeling the past couple of years. As the assistant O-line coach, was the head coach at Steubenville Central Catholic for a while. He's coming on staff. He's also a high school teacher, but he's in the area, so it works out.
That's awesome.
With our practice-wise, and then a few other guys that they'll be there during practice, but they won't be in the office during the day. So It's going to be a fun staff, a lot more help than we had last year. Last year we only had like 6 or 7 guys. So
That's big time.
this year I think we'll have 13 on the field, at practice every day. So
We were sitting out at camp today, and one of our athletic training students was talking to me, and just someone who's kind of outside of the football world, and she looks out, and there's all these coaches at warm-ups, and we've got a decently large staff up here at Northern, and she's like, basically like, why the hell do they need all these coaches? And I'm like, if you think this is crazy, this is technically not even a full staff. You should go to some of these. You should see some of these programs that have the full-timer and then the assistant and then the intern at every single spot. Football, man, game of logistics. You've done it at a lot of levels now. You even started at the middle school level, high school. Now you're coaching on the college scene, coordinator under your experience. Has it just, this last couple years for you, just felt like up trajectory is just crazy, or what?
yeah, I mean, it's definitely been one of those things. I think coaching, you just got to be willing to take a risk, right? I mean, I'm from the west side of Cleveland, grew up in Rocky River, Ohio, 10 minutes outside of Cleveland, and never would have thought I would have ended up in Bethany, West Virginia, coaching college football, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
I just went back to coach for my alma mater after playing college for a year, and just kind of kept taking opportunities where they led. And glad that Coach Hilvert at BW gave me my first opportunity in college to volunteer during the COVID spring season. So that's really kind of where it kicked off.
Yeah, foot in the door. I think that's probably the biggest one because, like you said, whatever connections you make at that first place usually ends up leading into job 2, job 3, whatever it is down the road. But back to you, back to Bethany, and back to Coach Rob. Did he trust you with the offense from the jump? It was one of those things where it was like, here, take it, here's the reins to the offense? Or was that because you said you come in halfway through the season, was that let's see what you're about a little bit, earn that role as we continue through this thing?
No, it's like when you get your driver's license in high school and you're on that first long road trip and your dad's like, hey, you can drive now, go ahead. So kind of just tossed me the keys. Now, once again, he was holding my hand through game planning and all that. But, when it came to calling it, he was like, go ahead, have fun with it, man. Like, it's your offense, put your little twist on it, whatever you want to do, and have fun calling plays. And he's there when I need help. And there was definitely some times late in games where during timeouts, he was walking me through some thought processes. But I need that, you know what I mean? Can't have the answers to that right away. So I'm grateful for that balance he does of giving me some freedom, but also knowing that I'm not going to drown out there. He's the life vest if I need him.
Absolutely. Any play calls during the year last year where you called this and you're just waiting to see his reaction down there on the sideline?
So Coach Stanton and I like to actually have fun with Coach Rob. So
okay, there we go. Yeah, good.
First game we're calling plays, and actually I did it to him as special teams coordinator against Hiram week 1. Opening kickoff, we go out there, it's dead silent over the headsets, and I just go, hey, Brandon, watch this. And he, what? And just turns, and we kicked it deep left, like we're good. But, just little stuff like that. So play calling wise, same deal. Like I'd come in and be like, hey, what do you think of this first play of the game? And draw some just absolutely asinine thing. He'd be like, you please go back and just keep watching film, man. I'm like, yeah, my bad. So, but we like to keep it light in the office, have fun. Our walls are super thin. So we pretty much just talk through the walls to each other all day. But
that is hilarious.
We mess with him a little bit, and he gets us back for sure.
That's pretty good, man. Now, going into, like you said, I guess a true year 1 as the offensive coordinator, what have some of those biggest challenges been off the rip? Obviously, having a guy like Coach Rob at your side to help you through those first couple road bumps would be super beneficial for a guy in your shoes. But nonetheless, still got to go through all those challenges none the same. What have a couple of those roadblocks been for you and things you've had to overcome and learn?
Definitely, I just think making sure that as a young head coach or offense coordinator, being a kind of my first full-time type gig, making sure I'm just operating on that full-time coach schedule. I was an intern the 2 years before at BW before I got down here to Bethany, and then like we said last year was just kind of a whirlwind, so we were just all kind of in it together. But over the summer, making sure that we're trying to get a schedule squared away, and Coach Rob really having to sit me down and being like, hey, I've given you this offense. Let's make sure we're operating right with it and doing things the right way. So just trying to get locked in mentally and find a good schedule here towards the end of summer, heading into camp to make sure that we can operate at a high level.
The PAC, tough competition out there as far as D3 is concerned. You guys struggled last year, Coach. 8 points per game. We gotta get those numbers up this fall. What are we without revealing too much? What are we doing? How are we getting those numbers up this fall?
I think, just a lot of development in the offseason. What we learned this year is the PAC is a physical league. There are some very big physical offensive and defensive lines come from the OAC. I think that's a very perimeter-oriented league. So we had a very undersized quarterback, pretty undersized O-line. So just getting bigger, getting stronger, and getting into the system. So I think that'll just kind of naturally take care of itself, because I think a lot of the times last year it was physical. It wasn't scheme. It wasn't even athletic ability, just strength. But that's part of taking over a program, putting in a good culture, putting in a good weight room culture. Definitely. Definitely a culture shock for our guys this winter, how hard the workouts were at times.
Yeah, I bet. And you felt really solid. You had said about this recruiting class that you guys are bringing in. Obviously, you don't expect the majority of those guys to hit the field running and be big-time contributors this fall, but this is a long game, just like anything. And, just talk about that class and how you feel about them as a whole.
I think they're a great group of guys. I think some of them definitely have an opportunity to compete this fall. It's a great thing recruiting-wise when you can honestly tell kids, hey, you have a chance to compete. We're not going to promise you're going to start, but if you want an honest chance to come in and push some older guys and potentially play 3-4 years of college football, come here and do it. And I think that appealed to a lot of the guys in our area. The Ohio Valley, you're competing against the OAC, you're competing against the PAC. You even got some schools down in the ODAC coming up your way in West Virginia. Okay. So it's a tough recruiting area. And so I think that pitch in a great area of football really resonated with some kids, and we got some really talented guys up.
That conference, too, you had mentioned before to me, the high academics in that conference, has that changed the way you recruit guys? I mean, it has to. And as far as your style of play, does that affect it at all?
No, I think it makes the league really balanced and unique. You have some schools that I wouldn't say there's any low academics. Bethany is one of the greatest, academic traditions in the state of West Virginia. It's the first college in the state of West Virginia ever.
Hey, no.
But, at the same time, obviously you got Case, you got Carnegie. Those are some of the finest educations you can get in America. So it makes the league balanced, and you got different types of rosters out there, but it doesn't affect our recruiting at all. No, we kind of have our type of guys we look for, and we stick to that.
Good stuff. You mentioned Carnegie. Carnegie's the top dog in the conference right now. Hope you see what I did with that one right there. But what is it about their squad that makes them a tough matchup? I mean, they ran through league play last year, and there's certainly a lot of hype around that squad heading into 2023. What is it about them that makes them, tough to game plan and as far as heading into a matchup?
So I think, what's interesting is we didn't play Carnegie last year. So the conference was in some different schedule shifts. So we go 10 conference games this year. We don't have an out of conference, but they were the one we missed out on. But they always seemed to be a team that played the team we were playing the week before. Really?
You guys didn't play them last year? I must have missed that.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
interesting.
We didn't catch them, which, with that defense and them, that's a great team. And we're excited to get the chance to play against them this year. But they're big, they're physical. That defense is great. I mean, they got some of the best players in the country on that defense running around, and they got a good coaching staff. Anytime you get those high academic programs that have good football teams, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get physical. You're going to get accountable. They're going to do their job. So, similar. I mean, you guys see Hillsdale. My brother played at Ashland, so I'm familiar with you guys up there. So you see Hillsdale teams like that, right? You're going to get physical, and they're going to do what they do and dare you to beat it. And Carnegie does it, at a very high level, some of the best in the country. So.
Absolutely, man. Well, excited to see you guys start to see that culture and see the results, right? Reap the fruits of your labor over there in Bethany. Big year for you guys, hopefully. And, what the Bison ball turns out to be in 2023. I'm excited. But I appreciate you coming on the show. That's all I got for you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys for having me on. Thanks so much. And excited for a great season and see what you guys keep doing on the pod. Big fan.
My man. All right, have a good one, brother. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Coach Ranc, coming on, talking about a little Bison ball. Bison got to be one of the best. If I were to start a college tomorrow or a school, probably one of the best mascots would be on the top of my list.
Yeah,
I think.
I would agree.
Correct?
It's a dope.
It is.
Dope mascot.
Pretty sick. Although when we did that D3 mascot rank, is the Fighting Muskie, that would be up there 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about number one was technically the Thunder, not the Mastodon. It was weird.
I don't know, but that mammoth was kind of sick.
Oh, he's badass. Number one for a reason. But we can switch over to the Division II side of things in the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. That would be, for those of you not familiar, most of the Minnesota schools, got a couple schools out in South Dakota and that kind of Western Midwest type area. But here's a look at the preseason coaches poll. Bemidji State on top of this one, but Gavin, the first thing you'll notice, they don't have the number one amount of first place votes. They have 4 votes for first place, while Minnesota State, or Mankato as they're referred to, beneath them at number 2 by 6 points, actually has one more first place vote than the Beavers.
How does that work?
I don't know if I've ever seen that happen before. It must just strictly go based off these points.
But then what's the point of first place? When I saw that earlier, I was like, huh?
Looked like a typo, actually.
Yeah, it made no sense.
Yeah, what is the point of first place votes if the person with a team with the most first place votes
second place.
is in second place? I'm actually not sure about that, but honestly, the thing that jumped out to me about this is the obvious tiers of this conference. I mean, you look 1 through 6, is a difference of less than 30 points on this poll as far as the coaches and where they rank these teams. Bemidji State's at 131, Winona at 6 at 103. All these squads, Bemidji, Mankato, Wayne State, Augustana, Duluth, Winona, are all vying for that top position. And I thought that was even further demonstrated because you've got Wayne State and Augustana both with 2 first-place votes, which is actually kind of surprising when you look at the standings from last year. Wayne State, though, finished 9-2. Augustana 7-4. They kind of dropped off, I believe, towards the second half of the season. The train kind of came off the rails there, but still put together a couple really quality wins. And when you're playing in this conference, every week has the potential to be that kind of win. So I think the biggest thing looking at this is that, like, this is the coaches' poll. Like, this is not some schmucks like me or you, like, making these rankings. These are the coaches in the league making this, so they obviously see something to warrant giving these teams first-place votes, I guess.
They know what's up.
They have to, right? I mean, they're in the league. So pretty interesting note there. As far as the northern side of the division goes, I feel like the South is where, if you look at just like the past couple years of experience, the South is where most of the competition has been. You have Mankato, Winona, Wayne, Augustana, Sioux Falls even. Upper Iowa is actually leaving the conference. You notice they're not on this list. We posted just a little while back the GLVC rankings. They've made the move over to the Great Lakes Valley Conference, I believe is the title of that one. So they will no longer be a part of this Northern Sun Conference. Still a huge conference.
Yeah, that's a lot of teams.
It is. 12 different squads in this one, which is a really healthy number. And looking at part of the article here, the NSIC, it says 13. 13 teams. I see 12, but they're tied for 12th place, Minot State and University of Mary. 13 teams. They play 10 conference games over an 11-week schedule. So this is actually, I believe, the first year that Northern Sun teams will have an out-of-conference game. We pick up 2 of those guys. We play Minnesota Duluth to open the year. We play Northern State to close the year. And so that is, for each of them, that is their only out-of-conference game for the entire year.
Oh, wow.
Pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you think the GLIAC, we only have 7 teams, so it's a necessity. And actually, in years past, we've doubled up. So we had to play Davenport twice for a couple years there. Much rather just do out-of-conference, I think. Unless we could play Tech twice. I mean, that'd be fun.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be electric.
That'd be pretty sweet. So that is at least worth noting is that all these teams are going to have out-of-conference games this year. And looking to see who those teams schedule, I think, is always a really interesting point of contention with me. And I can't really get over the fact that Bemidji is in first place without the number one amount of first place votes. But as far as the other awards in the conference, the media day and the preseason awards and those type of things, the offensive player of the year in the Northern Sun Conference, that's the quarterback from Bemidji State, Brandon Alt right here. This guy has had a ridiculous career. We posted an article actually about some of the the top quarterbacks in Division II to watch heading into this season. This guy was on the top of that list. He is a super senior. And I say that because his first 2 or even 3 years of college ball, couple injuries, and a COVID year, he didn't even get to play.
Damn.
Absolutely insane. So he finally comes out 2021 here, and he's a team captain. He was 5th in the final voting for the Harlan Hill, the D2 Heisman, and an all Super Region 4 second team North Division All-Conference second-team offense. He was the NSIC Offensive Player of the Week on multiple occasions in the Bemidji State Male Athlete of the Year. That was his first time really even being able to play. And like I said, right on top of that list, team captain, only as technically a sophomore on the field. He comes out last year, has an even better year, potentially. Makes the D2 Football Elite 100. Again, top 10 Harlan Hill finalist. Don Hanson All-American Honorable Mention, Super Region, blah, 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 blah. All of these first-team All-Conference. This guy is on fire. It feels like his trajectory, is just continuing to go up, up, and up. As far as like some of the actual numbers go here, in 2022, where are we at? Here we are. 2022, this guy threw for 3,800 yards. In 2021, he threw for 4,200 yards. In the last 2 years, he's thrown for like almost 90 touchdowns compared to under 40 interceptions. So that's a decent ratio. Not really that bad. He's averaging about 300 passing yards per game.
So what I'm hearing is he's not half bad.
No. Pretty solid player.
Yeah, resume.
Yeah, resume. Will say, though, this is the guy that's going to sit, like, he's just sit in the pocket. He's a threat with his arm, not so much with his legs. Obviously, not a dig, Brandon, but just letting you know, in 2022, he had 27 rushing yards. with a long of 19. So he got out and scrambled, and then he said, that's about it. I'm cool.
He was like, I'm done here.
But that is, he's going to be a big-time player for them this year, leading that offensive attack for the Beavers, who, like we said, are technically picked to win the conference. They had a share of the conference title last year. They won the north side of the division. The defensive preseason player of the year, that being Ian Marshall, one of our D1R athletes, sponsored athletes. He comes from Oklahoma State. Last year had a breakout year for the Wolves at Northern State. And some of the stats that he had, I mean, he broke the single-game sack record, the single-season sack record, and we had him on the podcast. You can go back and listen to that episode. He's a graduate student, and he's got one more year of eligibility, and this is supposed to be, I mean, you can tell, this is going to be a pretty big year for Ian over there. Appeared in all 11 games last year, recorded 39 tackles, 29 solos, 24.5 tackles for loss, because he plays interior, which I think is a big part of his game. He's not technically not a pass rusher off the edge, so for him to have this many sacks, that being 14 sacks on the year, added 124 yards for a loss on tackles. 124?
That's ridiculous.
Jesus. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So he's going to be a staple of that defense for a team that, we really didn't talk about when we talk about those rankings. They're in the middle of the pack, definitely vying to go up a couple spots, but that's why they're preseason rankings, not postseason rankings. He was, this past year, the NSIC newcomer and defensive player of the year award winner, so for him to retain, I guess, this award makes quite a bit of sense. But we can transition. Let's talk about a team that, admittedly, we don't talk a whole lot about in this pod. That being our team, Northern Michigan, the Wildcats.
Wildcats, baby.
Wildcats. I try to avoid a lot because I don't want to seem like a homer.
Yeah.
Obviously, being here, I don't want to throw them in the podcast every time. But today, I think, is a pretty worthy reason because we just got a renovated locker room, up here at Northern Michigan. And this thing looks awesome. I will let you all watching on YouTube be the judge of it yourself. It's out on our Twitter account. I posted it earlier today on NMU Football because I do happen to run those socials. But why don't we take a look? This is the video we threw up there. First shot right here. I mean, biggest thing you'll see, like, that cat head on the top. Any locker room that's got something like this, man, like, count me in. That is the easiest way to make a really clean locker room.
Wins me over instantly, dude.
Absolutely. You can see, like, in this frame right here, and I've got some better pictures we'll look at in a second, but the big wraps, I was actually able to help out and work on a couple of those in the design process. They just turned out really clean,
look really good.
Really slick. And, I don't have any pictures like before the locker room, but you just have to imagine, like, this is a big upgrade as far as visually goes. The space has always been really nice, but to get a facelift like this.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Yee!
Really clean stuff.
Like that a lot.
We, us, and our pillars up here. Boys pretty excited about that.
Ooh, like a little slash.
You like that?
I did like that.
It's pretty clean. So we got the reveal earlier today, the first day of camp for the Wildcats, and I've got some pictures that we can look at here real quick, Gavin. But I'm just pretty pumped. Like I said, that space has always been a really nice space, but what it needed, like, badly is a facelift. Yeah. And that's exactly what it got.
Looks really good.
So very excited about that. Let's look at a couple pictures. This gives you a better idea of, I think, kind of the scale of the actual locker room. This one's probably my favorite. I took this while the guys were out at practice today, actually. I ran into the locker room, grabbed a couple shots. That's just, like, blacking out the ceiling. We have it in our podcast studio that people can't see it on YouTube, but, like, just blacking out the ceiling immediately upgrades any space. Yeah. To me, it upgrades just about, I mean, I wouldn't do it in my family room at the house.
Oh, that'd be wild.
You might have to get locked away for that. That would be insane.
You're having dinner in the back cave? Like, what?
Yes. But as far as it comes to, like, these type of environments where you want the focus to not be up there, like, this look is so sick. That matte black. And again, when you have that dark backdrop contrasting to those lights and that lit up Wildcat head on the top, this looks really clean.
That's pretty fantastic.
That looks really hard. So
I like the little panels right there with the NMU logo above it and the little pictures and the
on the end of the lockers.
Those look good too.
Those do look really solid. I was pumped about those because those were not there either. He's talking about the graphics. You can see that the green and yellow, the split. Here's another good angle for us right there. That gives you a better idea of kind of what our locker room looks like from a different angle. Like I said, man, it's a nice space. So it's divided up into, like, you've got 3 larger pods on one side and then kind of a couple on the other side. So it is, like, it's a really nice space. We just got those carpet, like the green carpet inserts. I think like a dark gray carpet would have been hard. That would have made it a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? Because that carpet is relatively new, but I'll be the first one to say I'm not the biggest fan of how it looks. Like I said though, this was a much needed facelift for the place, and we can look at one of those wraps though, like this guy right here.
Oh wow.
Hey now, that
Hey
thing
now.
that thing's sick,
Dude.
That is so sweet.
That looks really nice.
Wildcat football. So that's that we have 2 entrances. That's in the one entrance where you walk in, and that's like that. That's where we go out for game day too, actually. So that looks pretty badass. I'm really pumped with how that stuff turned out. You got the TV over there in the corner, some charging ports for phones and devices and things. It will be nice too. Like it used to be in the locker room, you'd have like a little paper posted or a whiteboard with all the meeting times or special teams, assignments, whatever. All that's just gonna go on a TV, which is like, oh my
That'd be way
gosh.
better. It's just a little touch.
So
Just
much
the little
better.
things.
Yes, dude. So much, like a quality of life improvement. Like absolutely just a quality of life improvement, because the rest of that shit, it's so annoying having to have like 15, 20 guys crowd around a little piece of paper because they're all trying to find out what special teams they're on. Pisses me off. That's like a pet peeve. It's so
like,
weird,
It's like people who try out for plays and they're like scrambling around to see what role they got.
Yes. That's not a vacuum like in the movie or something. Like that's exactly how
They're
it
all
would
gonna
seem,
get.
right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So let's move over and talk about a little NFL piece here. I mentioned it in the intro, and I would be curious to have people guess, like, what NFL team do you think is testing their players' urine? Because that's just such a weird, abstract concept. At the end of the day, it kind of makes sense because you're trying to keep tabs on these guys, keep them honest, and talk about their hydration. Still, to bring that concept and to put it into practice, pretty wild. That being the Jacksonville Jaguars. Before we do anything, this is from Scott Hansen, the man who does Red Zone. He's in the facility for who knows what reason, and he takes a look at these urinals over here.
Oh, God.
Look at these.
What?
There's a little something in there. It's got a monitor on it,
Hell nah.
and the basic premise is that you piss into this thing. Is piss the correct term? Pee, piss?
Urinate.
Urinate into this thing. And it's going to give you either a green to say, yeah, you're hydrated, keep it moving. Yellow, hey, you maybe need to get on this, pal. Or red, and the police are called to the facility immediately to No, I'm playing. But
What?
I just imagine like Monsters, Inc. 2319 when the dude comes out with the sock on his back out of the little kids' room. And they, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's all I can see when I think that. But there is a red, honestly, that says like what are you doing? Basically, they'll probably put them on. I mean, I would assume they'd put them on maybe like an IV or something, because that would be that'd be bad. Like seriously dehydrated.
You know, when you said they were testing urine, I thought it was like when you go to the doctor and you take a cup and I didn't know it was like this. It's in the urinal.
Yeah. So now the question is, it would be interesting to see, because that's when you think about urine testing, you think of drug testing. You don't think of hydration. You don't piss in a cup for someone to tell you how much water you drank that day. It would be interesting to see if these do end up having a dual purpose. Do you because again, I'm someone who I've done the NCAA drug test, and there's no sugarcoating it. You walk into a stall. For me, it was with a man. Obviously, for a woman, it'd be someone of the same gender. But you walk into the stall, the dude is 2 feet in front of you, and he's like, drop him. There's no hide, nothing. And it's just, especially for kids, it's such an awkward process. And I understand for the testing, you have to be able to see everything that goes on, because if there's a test, people will cheat. And that, those things do happen. But long story short, I say that because could pissing into a urinal be a way that they kind of, in a slimy way, they kind of test for drugs that way? And then someone gets caught up on one of these.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to do that. Because, did you ever see that news article of the European basketball player who they did the urine test, and he did it with his girlfriend's urine, and it came out pregnant?
Oh my gosh,
so
I remember this. Yeah.
Huh? What's going on here? That's not possible, my friend. So this is a really good way to prevent any of that malarkey.
Oh my goodness. That would be ridiculous. I've never been at, heard anything like that besides from that one instance.
Yeah.
But there are people who, like I said, if there's a test, people will cheat. I try to combine the two words in my head right there. But this was Scott Hansen's reaction to it. I just thought it was really funny.
That is so wild.
Just a soft launch with these.
No,
I wonder what the first reaction was from the players, going into the bathroom and seeing that.
I would be startled.
It's just very interesting. Yeah, just very, very interesting to me. I wanted to just talk about it. Now, it's worth noting, too, as far as the Jaguars, I'm kind of interested if the Jaguars' priorities are in the right place here, Gavin, because in March, if I pull it up here, the NFL Players Association, the NFLPA, and the NFL Player Team Report Cards, those came out. If you remember that, they ranked all the different areas of NFL teams. And while there were no notable words on the Jaguars' bathrooms, no complaints or other exceptions or otherwise, the team did make headlines for issues with rats.
Oh, I saw that.
The survey said players reported that for 3 to 4 weeks during the season, there was, quote, a rat infestation in the locker room and the laundry hampers.
How does that even happen?
In an NFL facility?
NFL facilities? Come on now. It's top class.
Rat infestation? They don't have Orkin in Jacksonville?
Dude. Yeah, Shredder chilling in the vents? No, dude. Get out of here with that. What are we doing?
Not Shredder.
Dude, like, what? I don't know.
Maybe I'm okay, we're gonna assume they solved the rat problem before they put robots in the urinals. But if it was a reverse order, that's not right.
The jig is up. Like,
that's not right. That's
Priorities
not
are
right at all.
wrong.
Let's talk about the Antonio Brown rule. The NFL making changes to the personal conduct policy. And I guess I'll let you lead with this one. What exactly was, the first impression from you on this?
Yeah, so like it's not really called the Antonio Brown rule, but from what I gathered from the article,
sounds so much better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely inspired. It's because players have to tell teams of like problematic things before they get signed. Because with Antonio Brown, he got signed, and then he got sued for some stuff he got accused of, and then they had to release him, and then they're kind of like caught flapping in the wind.
Yeah, so sexual assault and rape, and that was he knew about that before signing with the Patriots, but did not disclose it to the Patriots.
And then that's dicey, and then so now this is to prevent that, so teams aren't
absolutely
back him.
I'm saying, do you think in that situation, like, do you think the Patriots knew what they were getting into with that?
I don't think the Patriots are that dumb to not know what's
right?
up. Like
these people do that. Like those people do background. They have people solely devoted to doing those type of things.
Homework.
Exactly.
Like so
I find it hard to believe. And from a PR perspective, they can claim negligence because if he didn't disclose it to them, they technically did not know.
Loophole.
I have to imagine somebody within the confines of that building knew that this potentially would be an issue, and they still did it.
Sneaky stuff just to get him on the roster. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why hence the Antonio Brown rule, because his brief stint with the Patriots in 2019 had a big part to do that. It says, in addition, active and prospective players have an obligation to promptly disclose any such incidents to their club or the league office before signing a contract with the club. That is what the revised policy states. So, very interesting.
I think it's also inspired from Deshaun Watson.
It was, yes, very much so. Because you think of that contract and how, like, it was so public, too, though. That's a different piece.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And they gave him stacks.
Well, technically only $1 million in the first year, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like,
a little bit of an upgrade.
I don't know how they do the salary cap gymnastics over in Cleveland. But the Patriots gave Brown a $9 million signing bonus. Did not know that. He was cut after only 11 days.
Did he even play?
No.
No, I didn't.
Don't believe so. I don't think so. Did he?
No, I don't. And then he went to
Per league source, the revisions did indeed result from the Brown case, Antonio Brown, and, quote, a few others. So definitely some other stuff going on, but Antonio Brown being the one that's kind of in the limelight for the most part. Just interesting. Just kind of interesting piece.
Have you checked out his Instagram lately?
Antonio Brown?
Dude.
No.
It's a scroll. It's wild. It's wild stuff. He's an interesting guy.
Oh, my gosh. Well, he did just he owned that. Was it an arena or indoor football league?
It was I think it was indoor football or arena.
So he got kicked out of that because he wasn't paying his players and coaches, right?
Players. And like they had to pay for his hotel. It was whack. And then it's like with the stuff.
Is Antonio Brown broke? Is that the question we need to ask? There's no way. But and again, some of these NFL guys, if you do not handle that money correctly, it's also too like whenever you see these like lofty NFL contracts, I never think it's almost like a lottery winning, right? Because you never think like, what is the net payment? You always see the gross number.
Mm-hmm.
What is your net? Like, what are you bringing home from this contract? I don't think people realize how many different taxes and fees go into those contracts. They're not. Patrick Mahomes is not making $500 million. No, that's what his contract says. Mm-hmm. No way in hell. You know what tax bracket that puts him in? I don't.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Did you see that?
Unless you're in like that's why a lot of athletes are going to like Florida. Yeah. No state income tax. I know there are a couple other states like that, aren't there? I know Florida's one of them.
I don't know on the top of my head. But
yeah, but there are for sure.
Like the big contract numbers, like that soccer Mbappe.
Yes,
$1 billion.
But he turned that down.
Turned it down.
Dumbass.
Well, he was gonna play in the Saudi Arabia soccer league, and I don't know soccer for shit, but apparently it's not a great league. But a
No.
billion? A billion?
Saying,
Are you
but a billion,
kidding me?
you could
That's
a
you could
B
buy a-
with a B.
You could buy a country with that, dude. Buy a country, and you
Buy several.
turn that down. Come on, man.
I'm not a well versed on soccer much either. I think Saudi's kind of middle of the road. I don't know where they compare to like an MLS. That's what I'd be curious to know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
It was a 1-year contract.
1 year, one bill.
Uno.
There had to be some type of stipulation because I don't care how loyal you are to any fan base, team, etc. A Billy for a year.
I would put legacy on hold, and I'm taking the cash. Come on, dude.
Bob is a stud.
Yeah.
They just got Messi over here.
Yeah, they did.
That's Inter Miami FC or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't mess with soccer. I will say this. I saw somebody. So you know how people trash on soccer for being low scoring?
Yeah.
I saw somebody compare it. Football's low scoring, but the points are made up. You ever seen someone?
How do you mean?
Like they score like 3 times a game, but it's not 3 points. They
But
add
it's like
the numbers.
Yeah, but it's 14-7 or something. You
So
know
I was
what I
like,
mean?
that kind of broke my mind. I
Yeah.
was like, whoa.
Yeah. And now football, I think football is just the nature of the game is different because you have definitive plays.
Yeah.
You have a start and stop. And as someone who films football, it makes it so much easier because it's start recording, stop recording, which I appreciate. The game is segmented off. Where soccer, there's not. And the clock just runs. And I think that's part of the reason why it feels like it takes so long is because you don't have these moments. You do have moments of high action.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just happen few and far in between because of the nature of the game. You can't ask athletes to be out there. It's 90 minutes, correct? You can't ask athletes to be out there for 90 minutes sprinting their ass off.
Yeah,
Like
and
it's
the field is
not
huge.
humanly possible.
No.
Whereas football, if you're sprinting for 6 seconds and now you have a 30-second break, 40-second break, then you can sprint over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Now, when you're moving that fast, you're changing direction that quickly, and you're going at that full speed. That's why we see so many more injuries in a sport like that. So
Yeah, they're also like flying into each other, and
that helps too, right?
yeah, definitely.
I saw a great tweet the other day. All the padded shell helmets that they wear at practices, and someone said like, this might be a dumb question, which I don't think it is. But he said this might be a dumb question, but if the padded helmets work so well and they're that intuitive, why don't we wear them in the games?
Probably because
They're ugly? Yeah, because they look weird.
Yeah, they were talking about it in Hard Knocks last year with the Lions. That's
Were
when
they?
they introduced them, and players were like, these look funny as hell.
Yeah.
And they're a little heavier, I think. They
Yeah.
make the helmet heavier, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, that would look dumb on the field.
it would, but like
It also blocks the...
it'd be the logo thing. It'd be a branding.
and
It'd be a
put that
logo
on the
thing.
That would look terrible.
It would.
It would not look good.
Yeah. I mean, I would not be surprised if we saw a major restructuring in the way that helmets look in the next 5 years. Just
Well,
for
yeah.
like safety, like on the side of safety of the players in the
Because
game.
it's becoming very public.
Exactly.
Like the kind of issue we're dealing
The
with here.
aftermath. Yeah. And the NFL has obviously lawyered up and done whatever job
Yeah,
they can
'cause
to shut
people could
people
come
up,
after
but,
them.
Yeah. Back on the contract piece, though. You ever heard of that luxury tax? Isn't that pretty crazy?
I've heard of it, but I've never really delved into it.
That's a pretty wild one to
does that-
kind of deep dive. I don't really know too much about it. There's one, too, where, like, there's one where you travel. Like, different cities will have special taxes for athletes that, like, travel through there.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you play in certain city, I thought a lot with these NBA players, excuse me. I saw it a lot with them. If you play in a certain city 3 times a year, they might have a $1,500 tax. So you do that 3 times, all of a sudden it's $4,500 out just off.
What?
There's very certain luxury tax, and I think that started with like around the Michael Jordan time. He was one of the ones that kind of initiated that.
Yeah, because
It's just crazy.
he made like $30 million in one season, and that kind of raised some eyebrows. I don't know. I think I did this a while back, and I did the inflation rate, and that contract today would have been heinous.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because in '98 he made $30 million a year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I've never understood the luxury tax.
Here it is. So they call it the jock tax. This is what it's called.
Okay.
It was MJ Magic they talk about, and let me see if I can't find some more information on it. But could you imagine that? So in the United States, the jock tax is the colloquially named income tax levied against visitors to a city or state who earn money in that jurisdiction. So they're trying to say that since you get maybe a game check or something along those lines, since you're earning money there, that they can tax that and take that off of your paycheck off the top. That doesn't make a whole lot of... It's
kind of
if
dirty.
you make a... That doesn't make sense.
That's
How
pretty
can they
dirty.
do that? Huh. What states have a jock tax? The special income imposed by cities and states against visiting athletes when they earn money in that jurisdiction. The special income tax is currently enforced in every U.S. state except 5.
Oh.
Florida being one of them.
Boom.
Nevada, Texas, Washington, and Tennessee.
Huh.
So if you're not playing in one of those states, you're paying, if you're a professional athlete, you're paying a tax?
That's trash.
That can't be true.
That's terrible. Oh, I'm curious what the number, like the percentage is.
And where does that money go? Just to the state, I guess?
That's what I'm saying.
They got to be making bank off that. You kidding me?
So much money. And I wonder if based on your contract it increases, right?
Yeah, I would assume,
Like
because it's got to be like, it's either a flat rate or it's a percentage. I would assume it's a percentage because that would be smart to scale it up that way, right?
Yeah, because you think Stephen Curry's going to be paying the same luxury tax as like Seth Curry? No. No, he's not. It's not going to happen.
Seth.
It's trash.
He threw him under the bus.
Had to.
Crazy. That is funny. Yeah, I don't know about all that. But that's all we've got for this episode. Hope all the teams out there are having a pretty safe and healthy camp, getting through things one day at a time. Excited to continue to cover all these squads. Coming up later this week, we've got a great guest from In the D3 Football Huddle. Great show if you're familiar with Division III footballs. This week's all about D3. Excited to talk to those guys about this upcoming year as far as Division III football is concerned. Otherwise, make sure to follow us on the socials. See everything D1 Rejects. Appreciate you guys listening.